Hello, all you amazing healers, sensitive people, and highly intuitive people. Today's topic is a continuation on your relationships. And in this context, it's not just about what's going on in your current life, and we've already covered recalling your energy, contracts, and agreements, and cords, and karma. And today I'm going to talk about your past life relationships. And it's kind of strange to think of those things, but they can impact you right now. So I'm going to talk a lot more about past life and how you have been with many of the people that are in your life now in past lives and how that affects your relationships right now. Stay tuned to hear more. This is Anastasia. I used to be a physics professor specializing in vibrational and quantum physics. After recovering from a serious illness using energy healing on myself, the calling to heal became so strong that I had to quit my 40-year research career. I replaced my 6-figure professor salary within 5 months using a simple but not easy 3-step system that I worked out to grow my healing practice. Now I help other healers grow their practices, whether they're just starting or already have a practice, with this same 3-step system. I'm all about helping you too. Listen in to learn more. Thank you so much for coming back. So as I mentioned, today I'm going to talk about the impact that past lives have on your relationships. So when I first encountered past life kinds of things, it wasn't anything I read about. It was actually something I experienced, which is kind of weird for a scientist that studied like physical phenomenon and was in the laboratory measuring things. And what had happened is I was in a trance-like state and I started to see a past life. Right? I started to see who I was, what I looked like, who my relationships were, and then I went back further, right? You can pull yourself back. It's kind of like a hypnotic state, right? You're in trance, and I pulled my life back further, and I started to see many of the people that are in my life now. And it is friends that I've encountered over the years, and it is also the people that I'm currently with. So in that, it's kind of interesting because karma is not quite the same, because karma is an agreement that you come to and you agree to live out. But in past life, whatever you have in your past life, it's your soul that jumps from body to body, or a piece of your soul. It may not be your whole soul, but a piece of your soul comes in from body to body. Now, if you imagine that the quantum field has no time, no space, that means you're living all of them at once in the quantum field. So try to wrap your head around that, right? So the thing about the people that are in your life right now is that in a past life, you may come together and recognize each other, right? So have you ever had this experience where you come together with somebody and you instantly become friends, right? Or people instantly fall in love with somebody, right? One of my friends said that on the first date that he met his wife, right, on the very first date, he decided to marry her. And 15 years later, they're still happily married, right? So people have these experiences. For me, I instantly knew when I was presented with a map of the universe that this was something I was going to study. And I was 7 years old, right? And most people don't decide what their career is going to be at such an early age. So that also meant that I had a past energetic imprint, and that's what happens when we live lives, is we get energetic imprints that we carry forward. So for me, I was a scientist and a doctor in past lives, or a healer. Doesn't matter. Doctors and healers were the same back then, and now we are separated into two categories, right? But I was a doctor, healer, and scientist in many of my former existences, and I was also an artist. So some of the paintings, like the one that's just over my head right now, is one of them that I just did spontaneously. It took me about an hour to do it, right? It's an oil. So there, and then the one that's here on my right side, this is a picture of a wave, and this is another oil that I just did spontaneously, right? It's just like I get these, right? And so I was an artist also in past lives. So you get these energetic imprints, and I didn't know I had the ability to paint very well. I just started painting, and somebody said, well, you must have taken lessons, or you must have done this before. And the answer is no. So that's a past life imprint. Relationships also create a past life imprint, right? If you were tortured in a past life, like a lot of us healers were, if we were healers in past lives, we were kind of tortured, or if we had any quote-unquote psychic abilities, we were chased off as if we were possessed, right? But everybody has these abilities. And so then there's always the fear of you becoming your greatest self, is because whenever you rise above the crowd, somebody is there to try to mow you down. So you have a fear of excelling and a fear of growing. And so this is a past life imprint. So in relationships, you may feel a compulsion to behave a certain way with someone, and you don't know where that comes from. And that is a past life imprint. You had a relationship with that person, you never resolved it, and now you're moving forward, and you don't have a karmic agreement with them, right? So you try to move forward, and you keep getting pulled back in your old muck. So releasing past life imprints is actually relatively easy. It's just you have to know how, right? So I talked about that. We have past lives. We're living them all at the same time, and we are in the quantum field, right? In the quantum field, which is right here all around us. The quantum field defines us. And then the energetic imprint, that if we're on timed space like we are right now, that energetic imprint gets carried forward and is within you. And one of the tasks we have is resolving that. So the main task, of course, is resolving your current life. But one of the other things is to also let go of things that you didn't resolve in your past lives. So it may be a relationship. Let's say you have a difficult relationship with your mother, and it's not a karmic agreement, but then you end up in similar relationships over and over again because you have that energetic pattern on you. And I had that because the imprint that I had with my mom, I also carried it forward with 3 of my relationships. And I said, well, all men aren't alike, so I must be the factor that's causing this. And when I started to recognize that I was the factor causing this, that I had to release that, and I didn't form any new relationships for quite a while afterwards. So now I don't have this behavioral pattern, and so this can also be helpful for you. So how to release that? So you can, I'm just going to show you one of the ways that I do it. There are several ways to do it, but you can imagine your life as a timeline. And the people that were in your life before, are very likely to be in your life in the future. So the present timeline is right in front of you here. The past timeline, so if you read from left to right, so this is my left and my right, it would be going in this direction. And of course, you're looking at me, it's probably going in the opposite direction for you. So, so for me, my past is over here and my future is here. When I do a healing, because I'm facing the person, I start on this side and I move forward. So this is your far past, and this is your far future, and this is your present. So what I do is I imagine people's lives, their former lives, as pearls on a string, right? It could be droplets of water, it could be anything, pearls on a string. And any life in which you had that compulsive behavior with other people, or you developed the fears that you have now, like one of my fears was sharp instruments, because obviously I died by sharp instruments. So I had this irrational fear of sharp instruments. So you carry this imprint forward. And in your past life, for example, you may have also been sick. That's an imprint. But really important is releasing the past life imprint that you have with certain people. So when I heal relationships, I include things like this, especially if the relationship seems very, very deep and seems very, very compelling. Because usually, most relationships, it's cords, contracts and agreements, and karma, right? Just clear those up and the relationships seem to resolve. Some people, their compelling behavior keeps coming back over and over, so then it's required to do further digging, and the first place I look is past lives. So imagine everybody's past life on a string as a string of pearls, and the pearls that are black are the ones in which you had that compelling behavior with that person that we're healing you from, right? So let's say it was my mom, or maybe my ex-husband, but for me it was my mom. So I have been in past lives with my mom, right? I can see her there. And sometimes she was my child, and sometimes she was my sibling, and sometimes she was, a person above me, a mother or a grandmother, or a father or grandfather, because spirits don't have gender, right? So by going through all of the past lives in which I had a relationship with her, or that spirit that's her, him, her, right, is that I turn the pearl black. I ask the pearls to turn black. And so then what I do is I ask spirit to bring light into all the pearls to brighten it up so they're back to white. And I ask spirit to heal, right? So this is something you can do to heal that relationship from before. So I drop off the black pearls, replacing them with white pearls. So what happens is that your past life is reprogrammed as if it went in a different direction. So it's kind of like a tree, right? You have a tree and you have several branches, and you're sitting over on one branch, and if you made a different set of decisions, you would have been over on a different branch. So it is as if you made a different set of decisions and you ended up with a different set of emotional results, that you are on now the healthier branch. In other words, you don't fear becoming your greatest self. You don't fear that relationship that you had with that person, right? So that helps clear it up. So then once you clear that all up, you send in healing energy into that timeline to tell it that the new healing is now sealed in and the old healing is obsolete. So I hope that was helpful today for you to understand how a past life can affect you, how it is really an energetic pattern that you carry with you all the time. Like I had an energetic pattern of feeling deserted and lonely, even though I was always surrounded by people. And when I figured out what it was, I released it, and that's no longer the case. I always feel like I'm surrounded by people that care for me and love me, and vice versa. I care for them and love them, right? So I hope that was helpful for you today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for taking valuable time out of your day to listen in. If you found this message helpful, please help spread the word by giving the broadcast a thumbs up or a 5-star rating. Share it with your friends and be sure to subscribe to my channel with your notifications on. For further training on healing and growing your healing business using my 3-step system, go to www.highpaidhealers.com. And I'll see you in the next video.